I choose love, love, love. Love, love, love. I choose it. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace.
Thank you, Joe.
So, yes, so everyone, welcome. My name is Greg Hargrove, and welcome to today's Center for Spiritual Living service. Joining me today is practitioner Reverend Linda Ensign, Joe Beckner, as always, on the audio-visual console, making sure everything is running smoothly. We had our meditation also by Reverend Linda Ensign, and the minister of the day, Reverend Alan David Young. So let's start with our mission statement. There we go. Our mission is transformation through spiritual practice, education, service, empowerment, and by living inspired lives. And that's probably the most important one of all, because as people see how we're living our lives and representing this teaching, that's the way that they would decide whether or not this really is a better way to live and to be in the world.
Do we have another music, Joe?
I thought we were going to do the affirmation first, but we can do the music, sure. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me
Yeah,
read.
I was just waiting for the
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about
affirmation.
that. Yeah, because it was on the order of service differently. Okay. All right. Hold on a second here. Then let me do a different thing.
Well, we always have room to innovate and do things a little differently.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the affirmation, but that's
Oh, okay.
yes. So I am now happy to introduce Reverend Linda Ensign for affirmation and our opening prayer.
Okay. I live my truth, even beyond my comfort zone. Maybe we could all say that. You can unmute or leave it muted. I live my truth, even beyond my comfort zone.
So,
Okay. Opening prayer. And I start this prayer with just huge, full of gratitude. So grateful. Grateful for this teaching, grateful for this group, grateful for healing, the healing that is available. You don't need permission. You can just use it, be it. And I know that as this service unfolds, every single word is inspiring to us. It doesn't matter who it is, it's all inspirational. And just being here, not saying a word, is still an inspiration to have people here that feel this is part of their life. So again, I'm just so grateful for this, grateful to not take it for granted. And appreciate so much visitors, including Sheila. You know, we like to share and we love new people. Although Sheila's not new, but each person is valued. And I release this knowing this is all our truth and what makes us chime and be the best of who we are. I'm going to release this with, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. I think that brings us to our next song, which I believe is When Night Falls by Sweet Sally.
Well, I've been forgetting to remember where I've been. 'Cause who wants to swallow their worries and their sins? I wish that I could tell you that I have no regrets, but it's easy to remember, so hard to forget. Watch the rising moon and the sinking sun. When night falls, it blinds everyone. When I had no worries, I was sitting on the moon. No one to hear me, no one knew. Held by the ground, no reason to pretend. No sense in lying if there's not an end. Watch the rising moon and the sinking sun. When night falls, it blinds everyone. Watch the rising moon and the sinking sun. When night falls, it blinds everyone.
Oh, that was very nice. And now it's my privilege to introduce our very own Reverend Ellen David Young for our inspirational message.
Forthcoming is the inspirational message. So we're talking about walking on the edge. We talked about that last week too. In fact, the whole month is kind of on that theme. Specifically, this talk is about how it looks when the journey we take toward our higher self feels uncomfortable. And what do we do about that? That's the nature of this talk today. So let me begin with living your truth when it feels risky, when it feels uncomfortable. How do we go about doing that? Well, there's some tips. So there's only one life, as we know, and through it, that one life, all kind of forms come through it in time and space. So there's one life with many, many, many different ways that it appears and shows up. The truth is given to anyone who is interested in and it has a code of behavior that sends them on an adventure toward their higher self. There are multiple ways to invite and embrace the presence of God, including teachers, prayer, reading books, life experiences, intuitive readings, on and on and on and on. So God is open to any ways we want to communicate with him. And that's the beginning of being comfortable with living on the edge. Now, God seems to be and is behind all people, all things, and all events. For some people, God is always present to provide insights, guidance, and to help us act with divine wisdom and divine protection. Now, walking on the edge of life and embracing the truth requires a couple of stages, as you can imagine. They're very obvious once I mention. First stage is we have to get to the edge. Then we have to walk over the edge a bit to really get the full benefits. So those are the two steps. We can walk up to the edge and turn around and say, no, I don't want to deal with that. Well, we haven't really done our job completely. So we haven't fully embraced the truth until we get to the edge and step into the truth. But both steps lead to some understanding and some perspectives and gives us some new energy. And we all know that there's only one life and one center that we all share. Everybody shares. And we can learn to reveal the piercing truth through our intuitive nature and through our spiritual nature. As we become conscious of what we're seeking, our mission becomes one of acting on the insights that we receive, not just getting insights, but what do you do with the insights? And that's a very powerful thing. There's a famous book called The Course of Miracles, where that individual that put that together acted on their insights. They didn't just take the insights and keep them to themselves. They wrote them down, so we all got the benefit. It turns out that we often look for openings in terms of other people. We kind of scan people and see, do I have a connection with that person? Is there something we have in common? But that's one way of looking at getting in touch with another individual and inviting the presence of God. Because when there's two or more gathered, that's when God really steps in, especially if we're talking about something spiritual. Now, science of mind teaches us to think of the world. This is one way of getting through or getting to feel like to deal with the discomfort if we have enough practice. It's not easy to do, but science of mind does teach us to think of the whole world as your friend. To truly do this, you need to befriend the whole world. You need to say the whole world is my friend. This doesn't work for some people, but I can pretty much guarantee, because I've been practicing this, if you keep thinking that over and over, it becomes a habit, and it really does push you on the edge and over the edge in a good way, so to speak. So there's a lot of growth with that. In this way of thinking of the world as your friend, you would tend to draw so many people into your life that you won't have time to enjoy them all. But maybe that's a good thing. At least they're drawn to you. You can refuse to, and another way to deal with this thing of living on the edge and walking on the edge is to refuse to see the negative side of anyone. Now, that's not easy to do either. But when you find yourself feeling negative and thinking negative about people, you can say, oh, there I go again. Let me change that thought. I don't have to follow that trend. You should refuse to let yourself misunderstand or be misunderstood if possible, because that's important. Once we go off thinking we know something, that's not really what the real deal is. It sort of haunts us later on. Know that everyone wants to, in some way, have the best. Well, better to put this. Know that in some ways, everyone wants the best for you, because that's part of the human family. We want the best. Now, some people on a temporary basis might not say that, but in general, people want the best for It's just a matter of how much we get to experience that and benefit from that. Now, connected with this, the religion of Islam and the Muslim followers in there believe in angels. In our philosophy, we don't really believe in angels in the same way. What the Muslims believe in is angels can only do God's will. I say that because if we kind of adopt that perspective a bit, we can say, well, gee, angels only do good work and only do God's will. Maybe I can do that and be angelic. Wouldn't that be nice to be considered an angel or to be angelic? Well, that's what angels do. Now, in science of mind, we do believe in angels, but our perspective is definitely not physical, not with literal wings. It's more divine ideas and intuition. But the Muslim followers of Islam say there are physical presences. They're not commonly seen, and they do have wings, 2, 4, 6. I said, really? I was just sort of looking at that. We had a prayer service some time ago at another center, and Muslims were invited, Quakers were invited, other denominations, and everybody has a little different way of praying. But it just goes to show you, even though angels is kind of far out for some people, the Quakers had a pretty far out prayer, and I'll just mention it, and you'll see why. So we got to the prayer. Everybody stood up and gave a little prayer from the different denominations. And this woman stood up and she says, "Okay, let's go into prayer." Everybody closed their eyes, and you could hear a pin drop. Nobody said anything. 2 minutes went around. People were looking around. What's she doing? Amen. That was the prayer. She gave us 2 minutes of silence, but we had to do something with the silence, and most people didn't know what to do with it. It just goes to show you that's another perspective on prayer. Just like the Muslims have another perspective on angels. And they both can be valid, definitely. Now, there's unlimited help waiting for us if we choose to walk on the edge. It awaits us. There's a lot of help. It means showing up for truth that lives within us and allowing that truth to move through us in real and visible ways, even though it may feel risky, because in time it gets to be a little bit less risky and it feels good once we adopt some new growth and once we walk on the edge and we capture that new wisdom. Now, there's intuitive insights from within are available to get the truth when we ask, and that's a form of walking on the edge. It's tapping into your intuition. Sometimes we can have an elevation experience when you see something happen in outer life where someone is ministering to the needs of another and it lifts their spirits. It makes us feel good when we observe that. So that's a psychological term, but it's called elevation. And so we can experience growth and walking on the edge from outer experiences as well as from inner intuitions. And these insights are not meant to stay hidden. They're meant to be lived, meant to be achieved. The divine invites us to embrace these insights along with the values we affirm, and as if we live it's as if we are living the vision as if it's already true. Kind of, that's sort of the whole point of it, is to catch the vision and live the vision. Now, there's a little difference. I just mentioned elevation and intuition. They're similar, but one is inside and one is out. So let me talk just a minute about the wisdom from elevation and from intuition. They're both helpful for our growth, and they both can put us on the edge in a good way. Now, moments of elevation are positive experiences that often inspire us to, especially positive experiences when we witness good deeds being done for others. And there was a guy, I'm going to mention a couple of other sorts, but this one just steps into my mind as I talk about this subject. He had these 2 big white gloves on his hands, and he stood on the street for years. He would just come out and say, "Have a nice day, have a nice day," to every car who passed by for about a half hour in the morning. And people remembered that. Everybody talked about the guy with the big hands saying, "Have a nice day." It was a simple thing, but it lifted people's spirits. That's a form of elevation. Now, the classic examples would be To Serve with Love. That's one of my favorite movies. And I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King when he was on the Capitol Mall giving that. And there are many, many ways to experience elevation. But, it's not something we can necessarily choose. We don't know if we're going to see a movie, if we're going to be elevated, or hear a speech or a song that's going to elevate us. But it does elevate many people. And when you get that, that's that rise in consciousness, everybody gets a benefit. Now, intuition comes from within, as we all know, and it relies on the mind quickly connecting things that we know something about so it can deliver a message. Intuition is not likely to give us something we have no clue of what it means. Usually it gives us, it shows up when we have some ways to make a connection to really get some wisdom out of it. Unlike drawing upon wisdom from occasional elevation experiences, intuition is something we can do on a daily basis, multiple times a day if we want, and we can do it in ways to get quick and deep clarity. Elevation is good, but we can't do it on demand usually. Now, when the divine chooses to communicate with us is kind of interesting, because the divine doesn't always communicate with us on demand. If we say, I want to hear something from God, we have to be patient. God's going to let us know what is going on in God's time. So we may ask for something, and the answer may not come for another day or 2 days or for some time. We say, oh, that's the answer to my prayer, or that's the answer to this insight. Sometimes we get the answer on the spot, and sometimes we have to be patient. In addition to seeking real understanding, divine communications are really present when we're helping someone else do something. Usually there's 2 or more people gathered together, and the divine really loves it when we're seeking to help someone else, seeking to be of service, not for money or something tangible, or some recognition or some glory, but simply with the act of doing good because it's good to do good. And when we seek the truth in God's name, generally speaking, communicate its wisdom and time. When we seek the truth in God's name, we'll get the wisdom in God's time when the conditions are right, is what I want to say. It doesn't come necessarily right away, which doesn't mean to be discouraged. Just give it a little time and it'll come. Now, if the needs of another person are at the point where they need spiritual help and you're able to help them, definitely God is going to be present, and because there's a mingling of 2 people on a spiritual path or in a spiritual conversation. So the presence of God is going to show up in that case. And when we experience an insight, we achieve what we experience in an insight, we achieve in a good deed. We can understand what a difference giving makes. I'm saying that another way, is almost like when we do good deeds, there's usually some kind of insight that comes from it, or some kind of reflection, and just that doing it makes a difference in whoever the deed was done for, and makes a difference in our own life. Yeah. Now, there's some ways of living one's truth when it's fearful. There are different ways of living your truth when it's fearful. I'm going to outline some just to give some tips, and here goes. So we can practice looking past fears and understanding rejection and act as if we're friends to the whole world. That's not easy to do. So if we're fearful of something, it's temporary. It's not permanent. It's temporary. But now, if it's something we can get by, we can get past it. But the idea is to try to think in terms of being friends with the whole world and understanding if fears are sort of temporary. Now, hold a steady inner rhythm and move with a certain steady pace, and that will move us more toward truth. We're in a hurry rushing to get truth. We're not going to really get it. Some key strategies include practicing radical honesty with yourself, and setting boundaries, which you may need to do just so you can live in your own comfort zone. And living the truth when it's not comfortable suggests leaning into that space between safety and between growth. There's sort of a space there. Now, the combination of personality and values are manifested through our training, our observations, our values, and our religious experiences. Now, when we live our truth, we're going to encounter moments of discomfort. It can be speaking up when it feels safe to be silent. That could be an experience of walking the edge. I don't want to speak up. I'd rather be quiet. Well, sometimes you need to speak up. It can be standing firm in your values when other people don't understand those values. It can mean showing kindness when cynicism would be safer. What does it look like to stay faithful to your inner compass when the road gets rocky and the climb is steep? How does it feel? You could simply say not good. That would be the end of the story. When the road gets rocky, the best thing to do is to keep still. Why? Because when we're still, we get insights. The whole book of changes tells us that the best way to move forward is to keep still. That doesn't mean to keep still every moment, but in general, when we're still, we get insights on how to move forward and what's coming our way. If we're rushing to go forward, we'll miss that. Now, we can embrace and should embrace the edge of life by refusing to see the negative side of anyone. That's a practice that we can learn and work at. It's not easy. In fact, both Ernest Holmes and Howard Thurman tell us that it produces a lot of growth if we can do that, to begin to see, not to refuse to see the negative side of anyone. They say it's not easy. I say it's not easy, and it isn't easy. Now, refusal is not passive. It takes courage to hold love and goodwill in situations where frustration or fears might otherwise lead us in another direction. Walking the edge of life means practicing seeing God where it's not obvious and living from a vision anyway, even though it's not obvious. There's this little story I'll mention. Just came up three days ago. It's really interesting. It was in the evening, a bunch of crows showed up in the neighborhood. And it turns out that they do this time of year for about 2 months. I don't know if anyone's experienced. In urban areas, crows flock into urban areas for these 2 months, this month and the next month in general, for comfort, for security, for camaraderie. They know how to communicate with each other. But they stay. My car was parked on the street, and the crows just so happened to let go of some droppings that hit the car. I said, "Oh no!" And I was really upset with the crows. But I said, "Okay, I need to wash my car in the morning because the crows had destroyed some of the nice ways it looked. I'll put it that way." And so I got in the car, upset with the crows, was going to the car wash, and there was traffic congestion. I could not get to the car wash. I was just upset with the traffic congestion. But it gave me a time to just sort of relax and be still and try to calm myself down. And so I got over that. Then I got to the car wash, and there was so many cars trying to get washed. I said, "Oh no, it's another thing. I'm not going home with a car with bird poop on it." And so I just waited and waited and waited. But I was able to enjoy the time, get the car wash, and get back home. But it just goes to show you that sometimes we need to break from our routines or patterns, or the universe is going to give us a break from our routines or patterns to have to deal with the unknown. So what do we do with that? It's a moment of discomfort, but I kind of went with the flow and it worked out. This is similar to seeing the whole world as your friend, but not passing judgment. Because when I was at the car wash, these people in front of me, I said, "How does it take someone?" When I got close to driving through, the person before seemed to want to wash their car 2 or 3 times, over and over and over. And I said, "Oh my God." And I had to think of some positive thoughts. Now, moving on, there's an edge between private life or private beliefs and public actions. That's another way the edge shows up. The public has one set of way of being, and we have our own private beliefs. And while many of us find comfort in our own spiritual insights, we hesitate to bring them into full expression with other people. Why? Because they might think we're a little silly or a little weird with our insights if we express them too much. I used to tell people, you go to a restaurant and you're not sure what to eat, you can flip a few coins and pull a few troll cards, but you can't do it in public. You have to be very private about it because people will think you're sort of off in a way. They wouldn't understand your values. Now, the lesson this week is to cross the edge, but what we know inwardly to guide us what to do outwardly. So when we cross the edge, what we want to do is collect some inner advice to decide on how to proceed. That's sort of the process. What would it mean is the question. If every act, every conversation, every choice became a simple act of living, a simple ritual, living heaven on earth kind of thing. It would be hard to do, but it's possible that every act, every conversation could be a ritual of acting out heaven on earth if we're thinking about it in a spiritual way. Walking the edge of life is not about reckless leaps. It's really about stepping into courage. A few more points here. The universal nature of resisting change applies to all of us. It just applies to the human family. Not only the human family, I think it applies to every being. There's a resistance to change. It seems to apply to all life. Now, we also appear to resist what we really are as individuals, who we really are, what we came to do. We resist that. We need to learn how to carefully and we need to learn carefully and permit ourselves to accept the fuller expression of who we are. Resisting change is like fear of the unknown, fear of losing control of our routines, mistrust of others, and even mistrust of our leaders, which a lot of that going on now. Change often conflicts with cultural values and ingrained personal beliefs. Now, this talk is also about learning to walk the edge with inspiration. We can move in through life with inspiration. It's much better than moving through life in fear or sort of half-stepping. But what does this mean, walking the edge with inspiration? It means to move with a sense of divine. It means to sense the divine in everything and entering into a space where things and everything, where you see everything is part of the joy of living, which is not easy to do, but that's sort of part of walking with inspiration. We can look for finding deep purpose and passion in our daily lives. Also, aligning our actions with our core values, goals, standards, and standards for making choices. Living by our inner drive, positive energy, purpose, and passion, and doing what genuinely excites us. Now I'm going to close with a prayer from Howard Thurman. It's really short, and turns out that this whole week, that really the whole month, is based on his book called The Inward Journey. And there's one prayer he says, it's like kind of like it's the most popular one. It's kind of like a Buddhist prayer. And I've used it on some occasions. It's not something I use regularly, but it's talked about a lot. And it goes like this. Keep fresh before me my moments of high resolve. Keep fresh before me my moments of high resolve. Basically, it's a prayer where if you sincerely pray for that, what you're asking for is for the divine to remind you of things you did really good and when you were really on the right course. And just that memory is like a bit of a elevation experience. It's like a new insight of sorts. It's not something I do regularly. Even the Buddhists, their prayer often, which is similar to his, these Buddhist monks say, may I observe and understand, ... So that process of observing and understanding is kind of like, keep fresh before me, divine, the moments of my high resolve. Different way of looking at it, but I think it's sort of some similarity here. It's a prayer to remember important, divinely inspired moments and divinely inspired moments of clarity and purpose. The prayer can be repeated as a mantra, or it can be said in deep meditation, can be repeated in a deep meditation. And the prayer helps to avoid spiritual amnesia and reminds us of our true commitment to life in the midst of all of the dust and grit and stuff that's going on. Now that kind of brings us to a conclusion temporarily. And so I want to invite you to go within, if you would, put your attention on that wonderful quiet place. And know with me that God is in the house. This holy ground upon which we stand and walk is a big part of our environment, and we couldn't live without it. And I accept and know that whatever each of us needs in healing and knowledge in any area of life, I call it forth in your own mind and ask for the divine to address this, to take a look at it. So we're here to get prayers answered and to seek answers to prayer. And so I accept and know that whatever needs to be addressed, whatever needs to be answered, that God is on the job to do that. Because why? Because God wants us to do the best that we can do, and we would like to do the best that we can do. So without further ado, I say thank you, God, for this morning. Thank you for the service. Thank you for those that are participating in it. Thank you for everything, large and small. Thank you for CSLP and all those connected with it, and for just CSL in general, and for the truth wherever it is taught. For we accept the truth wherever it is taught. We accept prayer wherever it is prayed. And of course, we accept healing whenever it is delivered and whenever it's on its way. And with that, I simply allow these words to rest and say, thank you, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. Mhm.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. All that I'm saying is, command my hands. What must they do? Command my life. It's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. And God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light. God
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Ricky Byers. And thank you, Reverend Allen, for a beautiful, inspirational talk to me. And now is our time for intentional giving. And we have three very well, actually, let me see here just a second. Actually, yes, four different ways to give. One is simply to visit the website, and you will quickly discover there's a donate button there, and it will take you from there. You don't have to know any more than that at this point. Also, if you like to pay by PayPal or Zelle, both of them go to the same address, cslpeninsula@gmail.com. And for those traditionalists among us who like filling out checks and addressing envelopes, you can mail it to CSL Peninsula, Box 3243 in Berkeley, California. Now our giving affirmation. I bless this gift with all my love. As I give, I embody prosperity and abundance, knowing I am fully supported by the universe. This is a symbol of my love and gratitude. It does great work in the world and returns to me easily, effortlessly, and often.
Thank you. 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 I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open.
What a wonderful song. No, I just love everything by Karen. And now it's time for a blessing of the tithes and offerings. If either our practitioner or Reverend would like to.
Linda's on mute. She might have been doing
Oh,
it.
maybe
Sorry.
maybe you were already blessing us and we didn't know it.
Well, yeah, I was doing that too. I'll pick up where I left off. As we give, we make a place for these gifts to return back to us manyfold. That is the law of circulation. That is the way things work. Each prayer offered and received in the ministry of prayer is already being answered in the mind of God. As our practitioners lift each submission in prayer over the next week, I know that the comfort, the joy, the peace, and the abundance is already manifesting. It is with deep gratitude and appreciation that I accept these gifts and prayers on behalf of the Center for Spiritual Living Peninsula. With this same gratitude, I release my word into the law, knowing that it is done in the mind of God. And together we anchor this prayer with, and so it is.
And so it is. Just so that everyone knows, when you do submit those prayer requests, they don't just sit on a shelf somewhere. Ministers and the practitioners get together and we individually address and pray for each one of those from the very deepest level of our being. So know that those thoughts, those requests are very much taken seriously by our ministry and acted upon.
Mhm.
And now, Reverend Allen, if you would like to give us our benediction.
Surely, surely. Oh, happenings first?
Oh, happenings first, yes. We're gonna have to put that in the program someday, so I can look in it.
Oh, yeah.
March 22nd at Hobie's.
Yeah.
We tentatively, maybe this is not signed, sealed, and delivered yet, but that's a plan to have something, our annual meeting on the 22nd. Probably Hobie's, we'll find out shortly.
Yes, we believe we have that nailed down.
Yes. We've already sent out a couple notices.
Yeah, so,
Mhm.
and of course, the mindfulness and wellness Toastmasters,
Mhm.
helping us to become better speakers and leaders, takes place first, third, and when possible, fifth Mondays from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And if you would like more information, the URL is right there.
And this is a class coming up in a couple of weeks. It's not too late to sign up, and I'll be leading it. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I think it's going to go well. So I'm looking forward to it, and we've been talking about it for a while now. And anyone can join. In the actual portal, it says you have to sign up by the 1st of I guess 1st of February or something like that. You can sign up anytime you want. Right now, we'll see how it goes. There's 4 people interested and ready to go, so we'll see what happens. I think we can do something with that.
Excellent. And as it says, drawing upon your own 40 years of background in visioning, intuitive counseling, and training. So who would not want to take advantage of that?
Mhm.
Our community hangout will be after service today
Mhm.
at the same Zoom link that we used to arrive where we are now. And Reverend Ellen, what time do you?
Well, it's about, what is 10 minutes? No. Why don't we reconvene about 11:05 or so? Give us 10 minutes or 15 minutes to have a little something, and we'll connect again. And for those who are on, I just mentioned that we do have a prayer meeting after our hangout. Probably be fairly short because I haven't gotten many prayer requests, but there will be some. So we'll do that. So now we can do the benediction, I guess, huh?
Yes.
All right, so let's go within once again. And once again, put your attention on that quiet place if you would. And just breathe into your heart if you would, this whole world. And breathe out love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Breathe into your heart once again, love, and breathe out love. As the song says, that's the only thing that there's just too little of. Dear Father, Mother God, who's everywhere present, your name is sacred. This whole universe is sacred. We understand that our will is being done. Your will is being done through many of us, through us right now. And we accept your divine guidance, which shows up in many forms and in many ways. Because God is love, because you are love, the more we dwell on God, the more we dwell on love. Great things happen when we listen to that still small voice. and take in more love. Know with me that love, happiness, and contentment are on the way for each of us. Answers to our prayers are on the way for each of us. Like the air within us, the divine love is everywhere. The divine broadcast is everywhere. We can tune into it when we are willing to listen to that still small voice. And understand that just as raindrops flow down and collect into streams, and streams collect into rivers, and rivers join oceans, love holds us together like spokes in a wheel, all of us throughout this whole cosmos. And I give thanks for the cosmos and all of its wonder. I give thanks for this vast amount of space that is beyond our imagination, beyond what we can comprehend. And I give thanks for this wonderful environment we get to live in and get nurtured by and walk through and breathe in. It's all a part of us. We are as much a part of the environment as the environment is part of us. We're as much a part of the stars as the stars are a part of us. So I say thank you, God, for this grand scheme, this huge cosmos, this fantastic environment and earth, of all the wonderful people we get in touch with and are in this world, in our city, in our community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I release these words once again in love. And you can join me by saying, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen. Well, see you soon.
Thank you. Yes. But what time did we decide, Reverend?
Well, let's see. It's actually 5 minutes. Why don't we make it 11:10?
Okay.
About
Okay.
13, 14 minutes. All right.
All right.